Moreover, Putinism as such is progressing. And Putin's regime, his war of this, requires a very solid foundation. Such a foundation can only be lawlessness, banditry, and illegality. Otherwise, well, sorry, there's just no other way. But lawlessness is a delicate matter. It needs to be maintained and constantly improved, literally amputating even the tiniest sprouts and remnants of rights, the remnants of freedoms. This is not so easy in a country where, for some time, legal decency became ingrained in everyday life, and among other things, in judicial practice. It was precisely in order to figure out how to establish complete lawlessness that yet another St. Petersburg International Legal Forum was convened. Look, I have quite a lot of messages and quite a few posts, videos, and documentary evidence on my Telegram channel. And no one, frankly speaking, was hiding the fact that the main goal of this forum was to ensure complete lawlessness in the Russian Federation. And how, in fact, to provide legal support for vileness and arbitrariness. At that forum, the tone is set by hardened, experienced sadists competing for the right to be called the new Beria. But of course, that's the Minister of Justice and the chairman of the investigative committee. The task of creating noise and generating verbal nonsense there has been assigned to Maria Zakharova. Naturally, the Taliban have been invited, of course, who clearly explained the advantages, for example, of hanging dissenters not somewhere in specially designated places on low gallows, but right on construction cranes so that they hang above the city, reminding everyone how dangerous free thinking is. All sorts of professional cannibals have been invited there. From the Republic of Chad, Cubans have been invited too, though I think the latter just brought some free cigars and a couple of tons of cheap mulatto women. Although on the territory of the Russian Federation, there are no judges left, at least, I don't know of any whose situation would cause the regime any concern. Nevertheless, it is apparently planned to discuss at the forum the issues of surgically ensuring the spinelessness of the judiciary. But as it turned out, also on the agenda was the testing of the deadness of various media outlets to see whether this media outlet is dead enough and whether it might suddenly start moving at some inappropriate moment. And of course, while they're at it, they also denounce Vera Zasulich, Herson, and the Decembrists. And there was a very lively discussion about exempting participants of the special military operation from criminal liability, even for especially serious crimes. But naturally, the program also includes priests, that crazy Dugin, and all the propagandists. To complete the picture, it would be necessary to ceremoniously unveil busts of Chikatilo and busts of Stalin in the foyer. And by the way, speaking of the legalization of serious crimes in Russia, well, it's not something I made up. Look, the Order of Courage was awarded by the president. It happened on Saturday, that scoundrel from Yekaterinburg who shouting, "I'm with the special military operation, nothing will happen to me," mutilated a woman in the street, right in front of everyone, because she dared to refuse him intimacy. And nevertheless, he was summoned to the Kremlin and awarded. And when journalists dared to ask him about the ongoing criminal case, he smirked and said that everything is under control. And with this special military operation, after all. So this issue, well, it's already being dealt with in every possible way. And it's not just those certified old sadists reeking of mothballs and blood. There are plenty of modern legal ladies there, sharp as a tack in every way. Of course, they've got everything there. Well, naturally, this forum also presented to the world all sorts of amusing weirdos like Petya Tolstoy and other fine bastards who are so popular these days. That is, one can say, blessed be the PNF and all its pinufics. It is precisely thanks to the St. Petersburg International Legal Forum that, all the I's are dotted and many secrets are revealed. Because the legal forum, not only is it a true parade of idiocy, it's also a showcase of dementia and deviance. But nevertheless, it also provides answers to many questions. Take a look, for example, at the speech by the rector of St. Petersburg University, Mr. Kropachev, which I posted on my Telegram channel. And classical psychiatry has devoted a lot of work to the fact that cretinism is closely connected with aggressive religiosity, and they, in general, always go hand in hand. Cretinism and aggressive religiosity. And this rector of St. Petersburg University declares that the war in Ukraine is a war for true religious values. And this tune is picked up by the Minister of Justice, who told the astonished public about the right of a Russian to personally kill the enemy of moral values. So, for example, you can kill an atheist, since he's the main enemy of those very traditional Putinist values. Probably child-free people too. And of course, it wouldn't be complete without Maria Zakharova, who, swaying her hips to signal the audience, announced that she lacks love, for example, in the president's decrees. Apparently, nowhere except in the president's decrees is she still looking for love. Their Taliban Sharia experts shared their experience in organizing re-education camps, prisons, and all sorts of behind-the-scenes affairs. Masters from Mali, Namibia, and Uganda also spoke about their own personal experiences with African crackdowns. And as it was before, so it remains. One of the most important topics of the legal forum was the encouragement of serious criminal offenses, because it is precisely these that create the necessary foundation for Putinism and the Russian world. And it was notable that in absolutely every speech, there was a wild, fanatical orthodoxia, kind of orthodox brain fever, just as wild a victory mania. And again, an emphasis on certain so-called traditional Russian values, on those very values that have never existed, that are an absolute product of fantasy.